I don't know, but I'm starting to happen. Every little step I take, you will be together. Y'all seen that? Y'all seen that New Edition movie? The New Edition story. It's it's old, and I'm late watching it, so y'all probably have seen it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. And for all of you who are just watching my channel for the first time, I hope that you enjoy what you hear and what you see. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to try to stop spinning in this chair, but it's so spinny and it's a joy to do, you know? Today I wanted to talk about a good topic. Um, the topic today is being overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed. This is a real thing for me. Okay, being overwhelmed is a real thing for me, but it was so freeing to kind of explore that and figure out what was going on behind the scenes. So the first thing that we have to think about when it comes to being overwhelmed is what happens when we're overwhelmed. What happens when we're overwhelmed? Um, nothing. Nothing happens, and that is the plot of the enemy. Um, when you get overwhelmed, things start piling on. You start looking around yourself, seeing everything that you have to do. There are a million things vying for your attention. Everything's urgent all at the same time. Like that needs me, that needs me, that needs me. I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to handle that. And I don't even have enough for that. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't even, how do I fix it, Jesus? We all over the place. And when we start doing that, I know for me, it makes me kind of shut down because I'm like, okay, I can't, I just can't. Like, and I just don't do anything. Or I'm just less productive than I was before I even started looking at everything around me, before I even got overwhelmed. And I'm like, how is that helping anything? I went backwards just now. Like, you would think that, okay, the main reason that you're all over the place and like, oh my gosh, so many things you need to take care of is because you want to handle all these things. So how is it that I have now regressed? Like, how did that happen? Um, I need to make sure that I am still able to move forward. And that's the point that was getting me stuck. I would get overwhelmed, but I wouldn't say, okay, whew, let me handle this. Let me get on it then. You know, if I got a lot to do, then that means I got to take care. No, it wasn't like that. It was like shut down and recluse and get in my head about what I don't have and get in my head about what I can't handle, what I don't even have the means to handle, and how am I going to take care of this? How am I going to take care of that? But that is an elaborate plot of the enemy. His hope is that you will shut down, you will dry up, you will not do anything, and it will cause death to everything that you were going to produce, that you were going to birth out of you, and eventually cause your own demise and cause your own death, cause you to dry up, period, to stop production. That is the plot of the enemy when it comes to being overwhelmed, to stop production. Um, but we've got to learn how to push past that. So, something great that I read this morning had me shouting, whew, God is awesome. I've been reading a devotional. I like to read those from time to time. I like to read those a lot, actually. It helps me in the morning when I am wanting to get my dose of the Lord and start my day. You know, sometimes you might not have time to go into a whole Bible study, but if you can really start your day, you know, with that, it helps. It helps me. So this particular um, devotional that I was doing, it was about faith, and it was called Active Faith, actually. And it gave me this analogy that fits so well with what I am trying to explained here when it comes to the plot of the enemy and being overwhelmed. So it talked about, let me see if I can pronounce it correctly. Endorheic lakes or endorheic basins. When I say that I love this, this was beautiful. All right. So I'm going to read you something from Wikipedia about endorheic lakes. All right. And for those of you that have not seen the video, I'm called, I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna find out what it's called, and I will put it somewhere in the description. So go back to it. But I talked about breadcrumbs. Okay, and yeah, I'm gonna find it. All right. So for those of you who haven't watched that video, please watch it. I mentioned it. So I feel like this is what he did here. It just led me on down the line. I'm like, I got you, Jesus. I'm picking up what you laid down. All right, so this is what it was. An endorheic lake, also called a sink lake or terminal lake, is a collection of water within an endorheic basin or sink with no evident outlet. Let me just pause. Let me just pause right there. Okay. Yeah, that means you're not going nowhere. You're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. You're just sitting there. Stagnant. There's that word. Stagnant. Stopping production. Sound familiar? Yeah, let's keep going. Endorheic lakes are generally saline as a result of being unable to get rid of solutes left in the lake by evaporation. Ooh. 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 That'll preach. That'll preach. I'm gonna read it again. Endorheic lakes are generally saline as a result of being unable to get rid of solutes left in the lake by evaporation. So you salty. Saline is salt. So you salty. So the lake is not able to flow, not able to produce, not able to output. It's stagnant. And so the process that would normally get rid of the salt is stopped. And so the salt stays there in the lake, causing a huge buildup of saline, a huge buildup of salt. So now you salty. So you done stop production. You done got overwhelmed. You ain't moved nowhere. You ain't doing what you want to do. You're not getting nothing done. You just sitting there overwhelmed. Everything's piling up on you. It's wearing on you. You're stagnant. You're not doing nothing. You are starting to be funky to everybody around you. You got an attitude. You salty. Just full of salt. Just salty. And salt further dries up everything. Everything. It dries up everything. And that means that there is no place for anything to live. Oh my gosh. There's no place for anything to live in something so salty. It's just things can't survive there. Y'all listen. All right, if that's not enough for you, let me give you the example that they gave of an endorheic lake. At the bottom, we got a picture. All right? Let's see if I can blow this up. Y'all see that? Can y'all see that? Y'all see that? Uh-huh. Yeah. If you can't see it, it's called Death Valley. Yeah. Death Valley. What that's called. Oh, there is another very, 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 very salty example. It's called the Dead Sea. Y'all, I'm telling you, open your eyes. The plots do not stop with the enemy. Don't allow yourself to get so worked up and so overwhelmed that you stop producing. You take it one day at a time and say, okay, God, like, it is not your will that I sit here and not produce. It's one thing to get a little overwhelmed and be like, okay, man, this is a lot. But it's another thing altogether to stop producing. At some point, you've got to pull back and realize that this is not the will of God. So there must be something going wrong here. I must need to make some adjustments here because this is not the will of God. We've got to learn how to put one foot in front of the other and just say, I'm gonna handle one thing at a time. I'm one person. I can do this. Above anything, the goal is to not be stagnant. It's to not be stagnant. It's to continue to produce. There is no way that means you're overwhelmed for nothing. If you're going to be overwhelmed and then still not do nothing, you overwhelmed for nothing. You better let that overwhelmed feeling motivate you to crack down on things and get things done. That really bothered me for the longest, that I would get so worked up that I would shut down. That's taking all of me away. That is that elaborate plot there to stop production and to cause death to everything that is in me. And I know that God wants to produce something in me. I know that God himself, he is life. So there is no way that this is the will of God for my life, for me to just shut down in this moment. So that must mean that there is another side to this. There must mean that there is redemption, that there must mean that there is help for this. There must mean that as overwhelming as this feels, this isn't it. This isn't the end. And God has plans, and that God can still do something in me even after me feeling like this. The enemy, if you look back on your life, how many things have you looked back and said, I made it. I made it. But if you think about the moments before you realized that you made it, how were you? You were on edge. You were cussing everybody out. You were so worried, staying up at night. You were crying. You were stressed out. And you're like that every time. Every time. If we can acknowledge that that is what's happening, and if we can recognize that that's what's happening, we can realize, so you're saying that I get on edge every single time I am overwhelmed, every single time I'm faced with something difficult, but then I end up on down the line looking back saying I made it. Well, maybe I can adjust my whole attitude before the fact instead of after the fact. Perhaps the plot of the enemy is to make me feel like I'm hanging on by a thread throughout my entire life, like I'm barely making it, to keep me in a state of anxiety and panic and like, oh, all of this can make a person shut down. But if you look back and realize that you made it, and you keep looking back realizing that you made it, you can change your attitude. You can say, I'm going to take this one step at a time. You can say, I'm not hanging on by a thread. I'm safe in God's arms. He is doing a thing in me, and I don't have to be worried about it. I don't have to sit up here and harp on this so much. That means I'm carrying this whole thing. If I am that caught up on it, that means I feel like the weight of it is all on me. Take that weight off of you. You can't carry that. That's not yours. Let God have it. I hope that somebody is listening out there. I hope that helps. I hope that you recognize from here on out that when you get overwhelmed, when you get full of anxiety and worked up about things in your life, that right then the enemy is hoping that you get so overwhelmed that you shut down, that you stop production. I want you to take that moment and say, this is the moment that I decide to take it back. It's mine. God has given this to me. He has put this inside of me. This is not yours, enemy. It's not yours to control. I put this back in your hands, God, and you do with it what you will. The verse I want to leave with you today is Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Mm. Don't let that become a dry place where nothing can live. The truth is what I just read to you. There's the truth. Combat those moments of anxiety, of shutting down, being overwhelmed with the truth. It's not a dry place. It will not be a dry place. It will not be a dead place. It will be a place where God is saying, I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Some of you feel like you're already in that place. I just told you the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth that the enemy didn't want you to know. God can make those rivers flow, and you, with a change of attitude, you with relinquishing your control in that moment, relinquishing your overwhelmed feelings in that moment to God, you can assist that process of God doing that new thing, of God bringing that flow back. All right, that's all I got, y'all. That's all I got. Look at your neighbor and say, this ain't Death Valley. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. And y'all know it's real over here all the time. Because it's The Walk. Live.